Bill Palin,
Here.
Nancy Naylor,
Present.
Katie White, and we got Tom Kitson sitting in at for quorum.
So public approval of minutes from previous meeting. Is there any changes or corrections as anybody sees? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and get started. Start with Jen, you want to start with your report?
Good morning. I don't have too much going on this month. We are still working on wrapping up our quadrennial reassessment. We're hoping to publish by the end of September, mid-October. As I reported in my report I turned in last month, we received our new change finder for our pictometry, and we did a training on that actually, and have got a training on a more effective way to review our change finders. So we're looking forward to doing that. And for the multi-township redistricting, we've got 14 of the 22 townships that have turned in their resolutions. They're supposed to have those turned in by September 15th. The Department of Revenue will just take the no response as an agreement that they agree with my proposal for the township changes. So we're looking good there. I haven't heard any disagreement with the proposal for the change in the townships. So that's where we're at there. With the GIS department, they've been working hard with land use changes for the quadrennial reassessment, and they're wrapping that up. They are getting, they've been working on some Dixon zoning and water layer requests. Dixon's asking for some new features. They were working on the state NG 911 project. The state has given them a report that they have some errors that they need to review and correct, which were mostly known errors. It's just a conflict between what the state wants and what we have here, what Shelley wants over at the county. So Carmen and Sammy are working on rectifying that. And Shelley said in her meeting last week that Lee County is in pretty good shape with that. So Sammy got his new computer installed, and so that is running good, and he's excited about that. And they are working on getting ready to run our new farmland values for the assessment office. So that's what's going on there with the GIS department. Does anybody have any questions?
No, thank you. Nancy, would you like to give your report?
Good morning. I'd like to give everyone an update out of my election department. Things are moving very, very fast and very, very busy in the election world right now. I'm sure everyone was aware that those vote by mail postcards went out, and it has created a tremendous amount of work. We've actually gotten 1,024 back already. And of that, 850 people have already requested a vote by mail ballot. So the girls are going to be very busy with that this year. And that was just as of 4 o'clock on Friday. We got another probably 200 back today. The good news is that the ballot proofs are in the girls' office today. And I'll be happy to let the county know that myself as county clerk and recorder is still running unopposed. The last day for write-ins was last Thursday. Your county treasurer, Paul, is the only one on the ballot. And for county sheriff, Mr. Whalen is the only one on the ballot for that. September 29th is our day that we start early voting. So get ready for that. If you guys are in the building, you can early vote from 8:15 to 4:15, starting that September 29th. And That's all I have in the election world. Everything upstairs is running smoothly. And then I just wanted to address my committee on the issues with the bats. I don't know if you're aware.
Baseball team or?
Yeah, I wish.
a tennis- You need a tennis racket like my son. picked
Yeah,
up
right,
tennis this weekend.
right? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you guys are aware, but like
No,
I
we
said,
are.
we've had anywhere from 12 to 15 bats on the second floor alone. And it's very concerning to me that they're flying around, they're crawling on the floor. And I was just wondering, like you said, and I know there's been some in the treasurer's office and the assessor's office, but it seems like they're hitting my floor the worst. And I'll be honest with you, the girls are a little freaked out. And I just didn't know exactly how that was going to go forward.
We'll look at it.
So we did have what I'm going to deem as a bat expert, because I don't know what his official title is, come in and take a look at the building, gave some words of wisdom to maintenance about where we thought they were coming in. Of course, in a 120-year-old building, there could be multiple places, but and maintenance immediately kicked into gear and fixed some of the issues that he pointed out, the expert pointed out, and it did seem to slow them down. It has not stopped them. This is, excuse me, this is the time of year that we would typically see them. Nancy's correct, though. This is unheard of that we've seen this volume. There is also someone from the state. And again, I don't know the agency that he represents, but the health department has been in contact with him. And he has also offered to come up and actually give his expert opinion about, things we can do to mitigate them from coming in. We do suspect, first of all, I'm hearing through the health department that there are bats getting into homes in Dixon that have never been in homes before. So for whatever reason, they might be particularly active this year. However, of course, we've been doing a lot of construction, and I don't know if the construction's got them stirred up in the building, but a lot of reasons why this could be happening. I would only say that in reassuring the staff that we're doing everything that we can to try to mitigate that. I know that's not really helpful when you come across a bat in your space. I get it. I don't like them any more than the next person, but we would be open to any suggestions if anybody has any other ideas on what we can do with them, other than the expert that we've got.
And I also want to say that maintenance gentleman Ryan has been phenomenal. I mean, he obviously has gotten very good at catching them.
And to add to that, he is as afraid of them as any of us. And yet he powers through every time somebody screams bat, he powers through and he takes care of them for us. So kudos to the maintenance department, Ryan in particular, for stepping up. And Jennifer looks like she wants to add something too.
To tag on to that, yes, Ryan and maintenance has done phenomenal on the bat patrol. I know that it is not his favorite job, and nobody wants to have to do that, period. I hesitate to even bring this up because I don't want to do this, and my girls probably don't want to do this, but similar to a fly swatter, is there some kind of bat net or some kind of net that could be looked into for us each to have in our offices for emergency circumstances, that when there's one in our office and we can't get the person that seems to be the one that we call every time to come catch the bat for our own protection, I feel like we need to look into that.
Yeah, because right now what everybody's doing, anybody that can, is we're taking a wastebasket and dumping it upside down over top of the bat. Well, then you still got to deal with the bat. Bill,
Tennis racket works well.
except they want something that will hold it once they knock it down. They want something.
Come back.
Yeah, and actually, Jennifer, to your point, I don't know why we don't replicate what Ryan already has. He has a very effective, net that looks similar to a tennis racket, but it has a net on the other side of it, not just the tennis.
Right. And on that same note, like you said, they're endangered, so you cannot kill them. They have to go outside. And I happened to walk in one morning with Ryan running out with the net with one, let it out by the flagpole, and that little sucker flew right back into the building.
Having dealt with them 2 blocks away for a number of years in an attic, a minnow net, like a fishing net with a fine, works wonderful to catch them. And you're absolutely right, you cannot kill them. You're not supposed to kill them. But if you release them outside, they are going to come right back in because they are nocturnal. So when they're outside, they want to get back in. We're only here when they're, one night during a zoning meeting, we had one flying around in here and got everybody's attention. But, and once you seal up where they're coming in, then you got to remember, you got to deal with what's in here because then they can't get out. Then they get really concerned. So there's several steps, but we definitely need somebody that's a licensed wildlife exterminator or eliminator to come in and, but a minnow net works wonderful to catch
Good to know.
Okay, moving on. Did not think bats were gonna be on the agenda today. Chris, would you like to give your report?
Thank you. I'm happy to report that our office is bat-free at this time. And to the best of my knowledge, I believe I'm running unopposed also. So you're stuck with me for another 4 years too. So that's a positive. All right. I just want to real quick. I know it's been fabulous that I've had the opportunity to bring employees over to introduce to the committee because I think that's important. And since we cover 3 pretty big counties, we don't always get to know the faces of the people that are doing the real work. So I brought one of the busiest people in the 3 counties with me, especially over the last 2 years. This is Stephanie Youngmark. She's been with our office for 17 years, and she is in charge of truancy for all 3 counties. She is our director of truancy, is responsible for coordinating services through our officers for each county. And she also has a caseload of her own in Whiteside County. So she's been one of the busiest people that I've seen the last 2 years working through COVID and trying to help families that were struggling and helping the schools that were struggling with getting students to do their work online. So I'm excited to have her here. I don't know what I'd do without her and happy to introduce her. And if you have any questions for her, she'd be happy to take them. And is there anything you want to say, Stephanie?
Well, my house has not been bat free for the last 3 years. So any suggestions on those nets, I'll be happy to take those. We coordinate services for Lee, Ogle, and Whiteside. I know over the last couple of years after the pandemic, our numbers have definitely increased. So we've seen about 200 to 250 additional students that we've been trying to work with, trying to get them back on track from the time that they lost when we were doing the remote learning and the e-learning. So we're up to about 700 students that we work with the 3 counties together. Any questions?
No, that's a very challenging job and appreciate that you do it.
Thank you. Yeah, I have a really, really great team that we work with. And so we have a full-time Lee County person, a full-time Ogle County. There's 2 of us doing Whiteside. And we're hoping to hire somebody either full-time or part-time to help out with the additional counties as well. It's a hard job. Thank you.
Just a few quick comments on my report. I did put in the annual official report that we file at our office that has all of our stats on everything we took care of this past year. Once again, you can look through it and I'm sure you'll see how busy we are. And, you know, meeting with our 2 bookkeepers now, it was really crazy. We had 1 bookkeeper and I've been working with her since I took over and she just does a phenomenal job. But we have over $5 million now that moves through our office every year with all of our grants. And that person needed help. So I'm happy that we have Sarah Kent now, who's done with our MTSS work and is now working with Sherry Pistol. So we have 2 people that are able to try and keep up with the demands of our finance and bookkeeping. And I've been grateful for that. But if anyone has any questions about that annual report with all of our stats in it, please get a hold of me and let me know. The monthly report, just wanted to update everyone that we were already hit the ground running with our building inspections. Again, we have 24 school districts that we cover. Roughly 71 buildings that we have to go through every year with a fire inspector and inspect every single room in every building and make sure that the building is safe for our students and for our educators. So we're already rolling with those. Our goal is to get those done every year by Thanksgiving. Obviously, if there's something in the building that needs to be addressed, we'd like to find it in the fall and work with the districts on getting it fixed rather than having something go wrong or not being able to let them know until winter or spring. So we've been very busy with those walkthroughs and we'll continue those. Important thing about our professional development department update. Well, 2 things. I was glad that Angie Garza listed all of our people now that we have working in professional development with all the many grants that we've gotten. which is another reason that we're really in need of this new space. You'll see we have over 17 people now in our professional development department. And they just had their annual retreat. They went over to Camp Reynoldswood for a day and met and did a lot of great work. And Angie met with me after the meeting, and you can see on the second page of my report, they provided me with and you with some goals and objectives for their department for this year that I'm really excited about. And I'll be working with the team on those goals and objectives because they've been really busy. A couple of quick announcements. You'll see that we're going to have our first annual Special Education Summit at Sauk on September 30th. That's going to be for the whole Northwest region of the state, and it's going to be focused on providing professional development to educators who work with special education students, and we're very excited about that coming together and planning for that. And then another big exciting event, we're going to have our first annual Pathway Playground for middle school students to be held October 14th at Sauk Valley Community College. We have a number of our districts that have participated in that Career Pathway Grant program with us. And we're going to have more than 50 businesses in the area with booths at Sauk. And we're going to have middle schoolers over there from all those schools that participated in our grant. There will be eighth graders from each district that will be going through and visiting with all the businesses, learning about what they do and learning if they're interested in it, how they can become trained to work for those local businesses. So we're excited about that. Nexus, we already have over 30 families that have been referred to our program in 1 month. So they're very busy, hitting the ground running. And I think it's going to be another busy year for them. And they're continuing to do a great job. There's also an update on our education outreach program. We're already open and getting full. We've already enrolled 9 new students in the last month and a half and carried over 60 students from last year. So it's pretty full over there. And Beth Hubbard and her crew are working really hard on helping those young adults get their GEDs. They're no longer, I love this. It's no longer a GED in Illinois. It's a high school diploma. And I love that. And our staff loves that. And the people that are working, when they earn that, they will get their official Illinois high school diploma. So that's important. And then an update on our alternative school. We had a lot of students struggle last year with doing math online. And anytime we have students struggle, we're going to try and find ways to help them or address that. So you can see in our Center for Change report, one of our full-time teachers is very good at math, Allie Messina, a former Dixon grad, and she's going to be doing all the math now this year. We'll be pulling the students out into her classroom and rather than doing it online, she'll be working with the students on the math, providing additional assistance and help, and she'll also be doing some work with the PE courses. So we're happy about that. It's already been a good start with that, and we're seeing some student progress in their math scores. And then you just heard from Stephanie. It's been very busy here at the beginning of the year with our truancy program, and there's an update on that. And we'll continue to work as hard as we can to help students that need support. So any questions about my report?
No, thank you, Chris. Appreciate it.
Yeah. And I did want to thank Wendy for taking the time to come over and tour our potential new facility in Sterling. I think Wendy was impressed with it, and I'm working hard with Whiteside County and the Whiteside County State's Attorney's Office, and Wendy and Charlie also are going over the proposed lease to see what, if any, issues we have. And I'll be working hard to get that in order. So hopefully we can make our move next July.
Fantastic. Thank you. Moving on, you have a draft rules and procedures. The two main issues that are being addressed in this are reducing it from 24 down to 20 board members. So you got some changes in just regards to that, and allowing digital voting. So the onboard, which we currently are using, has the capability of using digital voting. It would come up, you'd vote, so that way Bill can't influence what I'm doing, and vice versa. Makes a lot of these meetings go quicker, especially when we have roll call votes over and over and over again, like we did last month. So those are the two big changes there. You also have the proposed committee restructuring that we did discuss last month, as we continue to see shorter meetings due to the claims process. So anybody have any questions, or Wendy, do you want to add anything to that, or did I pretty well?
You definitely covered it. I do want to draw attention or ask you, please, sometime between now and when we move forward to adopt this a week from now at the county board meeting, to review the board rules, especially with regard to the electronic voting or voting in general. This is all new for everybody, and I had to think about things like Well, if you're going to electronically vote and you're going to vote from home, do you need to be just like Danielle and Nancy this morning, visible and on screen for the meeting? So I had to think outside the box from the way we've traditionally done things. And I want to make sure that what I put together meets your expectations. So please take the time to at least read the voting section and make sure that the rules that I've set in place make sense to you. Couple of the things I did change in the quorum section, I just want to highlight. And actually it wasn't much of a change, it was just a tweak. And that is just a reminder that if you are not able to be at a meeting, this morning was a good example. Nancy and Danielle did let us know that they were not going to be able to be here in person, but we were at risk of not having a quorum in the room. So at the very, very 11th hour, we called Tom. Thank heavens Tom was available to come in. So we had a quorum for the meeting this morning, but this is just evidence as to why it's so important that you guys communicate to us as soon as you know, so that we can shift gears and get somebody in here if we need to. So I did modify the quorum section just a little bit to try and emphasize that. And with that said, Chris, I think that's the two biggest sections, but please review and give me any feedback if you have any concerns or questions about what I've built in for the guidelines and rules for that voting. My expectation would be, keep in mind, these board rules will technically go into a place after December 1. That's when we're going to go to the 20 board members. So officially, these board rules won't necessarily take effect immediately. But what I'd like to do once we get our monitors fully up and running, and right now we've only got the one in the middle, when we get the other two up and running and we can actually start displaying your votes, I'd like to be practicing over the next couple of months just to make sure that we've got this down and it's working. So the expectation would be that we practice for the next couple of months and we fully implement come December 1, the electronic voting. That's all I have unless anybody has any questions. I just, again, encourage you to get back to me if you have any questions or concerns about the rules I laid out.
So in the meantime, I'd entertain a motion to move this on to executive. Mr. Palin, Mr. Kitson, any further discussion on moving the board rules and procedures updates to executive? Hearing none, we'll take a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Perfect. One last thing for today's meeting is some paperwork that's in front of you, and I apologize, Nancy and Danielle, but you guys will have the information. Coming out of the ARPA committee, there was a lot of talk about broadband internet throughout the county. And what you have is Cindio was able to come in and talk to the ARPA committee. Ultimately, this is what the cost of the project, but where rubber hits the road is the last paragraph, or the gray bluish color on the very bottom. Our portion of the project would be $1.67 million to allow broadband cabled internet throughout the county. It would hit Grandy Tour, Lost Nation, Ashton, Franklin, Nachusa, Eldina, Harmon, Amboy, Lee Center, West Brooklyn, Compton, and then move out east.
To Pawpaw. Don't forget Pawpaw.
And so we would get to those communities and be able to have high-speed internet at those communities. It's a great project. This is called the Middle Mile Project that Wendy has been a part of, along with Mr. Nicholson here in the back, hearing proposals for the last 12 weeks or so. So we will have this vote to approve $1.6 million coming out of ARPA. So if anybody's got any questions, please reach out prior to the meeting next week, and we'd be happy to help explain it. Nancy, John, or myself would probably be avenues for you to address. So anything else on that?
No, I just wanted to make sure, put it on everybody's radar and give them some time to absorb and ask questions if they wanted to. That way you won't feel like you didn't know anything about this when you get to the board meeting next week. So just wanted to give you a heads up.
Thank you.
Looking at all these numbers from all these counties, does everybody have to approve it? They have to work? No.
Yep, it's all prorated, so any county drops off, doesn't change our portion, doesn't change our project, they just drop off. And the total project becomes a little bit less, but it doesn't change our project.
Any additional questions? Comments, concerns from the committee? Short meeting today. Make a motion to adjourn. Mr. Palin, Mr. Kitson, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Anybody opposed? Everybody have a great day. Thank you.
Thanks.